Welcome to the Grit of the Matter, where we talk about what it takes to grow through life's unexpected challenges. I'm Denise, and this podcast is built on 5 pillars: grace, resilience, intentional, trust, and thrive. These conversations are for inspiration and education only and are not substitute for medical or professional advice. Please consult your qualified provider for your personal needs. If this resonates with you, be sure to like, follow, share, and make sure to turn on those notifications so you never miss an episode. Now, let's get to the grit of the matter.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Grit of the Matter. And my most favorite thing to do is introduce all these new and wonderful people. I absolutely love my job. And today is no different. I get to interview one of the most lovely people that I know. And she is how do I explain her? Kim is, she helps women break through those cycles of stress and helps them learn how to focus and put that energy forward. So, Kim is a wonderful person, and I just want to introduce her today and let her give us a little bit about her story. Welcome in, Kim. Thanks for today.
Thank you so much, Denise. Thank you for having me. It is a pleasure to be here with you. And let me just start by saying the feelings are so mutual. I love you and adore you and everything about you. I think you are one of the most inspiring people I know. And I'm so happy to be here. So, a little bit about me. I am Kim Staples. I am a cycle breaker, a mom, a wife. I am a coach, a healer. I am an author. I do a lot of things. Overall, I just sort of call myself an entrepreneur, and it ebbs and flows. I do help women. I am really, really, really passionate about helping cycle breaking moms. That's sort of my area of focus right now, but I will work with any women. Actually, I have worked with couples and men as well, but yeah, I'm just so passionate about helping cycle breaking moms, helping them regulate their nervous systems, increase their capacity to be able to hold more, not just more chaos and trauma and shit, but more miracles, more greatness in their lives. Because as those of us that have been through a lot of trauma, we know that we can sort of get stuck in those loops and unconsciously become addicted to our suffering. And I just love to see that transformation. And I truly, truly believe the way to change the world is for moms to be cycle breakers, because the ripple effects of that are so profound. You're not only healing yourself and your children, but you are changing the world, because when we are able to raise emotionally intelligent, regulated little humans, that is the thing that is going to make such a huge impact in the world. And we need it now more than ever.
Wow. Good introduction. Wow. That's a lot of stuff. So you have a background though, like you started, and any of the things that I ask you, if you don't want to answer, Kim, you don't have to. And if it's something you want me to take out, I would totally take it out because I
I'm
can
here
edit.
for it. I'm here for it. I'm an open book.
Yeah. So you had a past, right? You've had a lot of things in your past that kind of made you a little bit more passionate about that. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Where should we start? So I had a very traumatic childhood. I had a rough start at life. My father was an addict, a functioning addict, and he really struggled with his mental health. We know that the two go together, the concurrent condition. But yeah, it was a rough start. I witnessed a lot as a child. I was exposed to a lot of things that children shouldn't be exposed to: drugs, violence, crime. My father committed suicide when I was 5 years old at home while I was there. So that really, really impacted my self-worth and the way that I saw the world. I had this story that I told myself, an unconscious story, about how I wasn't enough for my father to stick around. And if I were enough, he would have wanted to live, to be here for me. And that set me up for a cycle of repeating patterns that made me feel that way, which it's a lot. The thing about trauma is the trauma isn't the thing that happened to us, but it is the story we tell ourselves about the thing that happened to us. And our unconscious mind will actually look for evidence to prove that thing is true. And again, on an unconscious level, we will put ourselves in situations to prove that that narrative is true. And for me, that was putting myself in high risk situations as a teenager and young adult. That was getting into relationships that would confirm that story for me. And I ended up in an incredibly toxic relationship. I got married very young, had children very young. I had my first at 17. And I spent 13 years in that relationship, which a large part of that relationship was further ingraining those traumatic stories. And, I sort of dug myself out of it by working on myself and building myself up. And that is why I am so passionate. I have, seen the transformation in myself. So I know that if I can do it, anybody else can do it too.
Yeah, so I'll start with that. What would you tell someone would be the first thing once they realize that they've gotten themselves into that hole or that situation that they're in and they're like, okay, there's a problem. I need to fix this. What would be the first thing that you would tell them to try?
So you mean like in an abusive relationship?
Yeah, we'll go
Yeah.
there.
So the first thing that I would really want them to understand is that the stories that they tell themselves are not true, that they are never going to find anybody else, that, it's never going to be better. They're going to be alone for the rest of their lives. The mind is such a tricky thing, and it really is just trying to protect us. It is the nervous system and the subconscious mind. We have to remember that our minds were created when humans first began, and we have these reptilian parts of our brain that are still stuck back in like the ice age, right? So if you think back to when people lived in caves and they had their little community of people, if they left that safe space, they would literally be at risk of dying. They could have been chased by a saber-toothed tiger and hunted down, right? So it was really survival. And our brain still very much works in that way. So when we step out of what is familiar to us, and because it feels what's familiar is comfortable, even if it isn't safe, even if it isn't comfortable, it knows what to expect. So that's where it likes to be. And anytime we try to step out of that comfort zone, that reptilian part of our brain and our nervous system starts to freak out and panic. I don't know what's going on. What am I doing here? Get me out of here. And it will tell us stories to keep us in that comfort zone. So I think that's really important to know. When you understand that these things aren't true and what is happening, sometimes that can really make a big shift in like, okay, I know what's happening here. It's okay. Don't get mad at yourself either. Be kind to yourself and just remind yourself when these things come up, is this true? Ask yourself, is this true? And if you say, well, it could be, do I know with absolute certainty, without any shadow of a doubt, that this is true? And just start reassuring yourself and slowly start to inch out. Start creating a plan. Start working on yourself. The more you build yourself up, the more likely you are to be able to get out of that. And you can do that while you're still in the relationship. You don't have to leave and start working on yourself. Start doing it now. If you need to train for a job, if you need to get a certain education to be able to do something, do that. And, I mean, that is very much what I did. I was in school, like just, I knew that eventually I was getting out, but I wasn't sharing that. And if you are ready to leave, have a safe exit plan. Don't, tell them a month before you're going to leave or anything like that, because if we're dealing with somebody that is abusive, they're going to manipulate you and try everything to get you to stay. And that is really, really hard. That is a pattern that I got stuck in. And, it took me about 6 or 7 attempts before I finally managed to leave. And that actually is the average for most women to get out of a toxic relationship, is 7 attempts, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah. Wow. So, gosh. Wow, you've already threw in a lot of information that I'm trying to keep up with right now, but and there's so many people out there like that, right? They get in those situations and they're like, what ifs? And
Yeah.
you're like, I don't know if I can. But I know a lot of them also hold it in too, right? I mean, mine's a little bit different situation, but like whenever you think about my pain, the pain and stuff that I've been through and things like that. And I'm
Mhm.
like, can this really be real? Can this really be, I know it's a little bit different than going through an abusive relationship or anything like that. But in the same scenario, you go through, I always like to say it's a type of grieving process where you question everything, you're mad at everything, you're
Yeah.
frustrated, all those, the whole process happens. But if I'm guessing that you're going to say, you would probably say this, I'm not going to put it in your mouth, but if somebody was going through that situation, don't tell the person, but try to tell somebody, right? You
Yes.
need to tell somebody that you're going
Yeah.
through this and that you trust.
That's the key thing. Somebody that you trust and is going to be supportive and not try and talk you into staying in for the kids or for financial reasons.
Yeah.
A lot of well-intentioned people are scared for you too, because the same thing, it's out of their comfort zone. This is what they know for you.
Mhm.
And it's uncomfortable to see people potentially suffer or struggle,
Yeah.
and they'll say things like, well, how are you going to support yourself if this person is providing for you? Or what about the kids?
Yeah.
Not supportive. So you really have to know who you can count on. And if you don't have anybody in your inner circle, there are definitely professionals that you can reach out to. Almost every city across North America today has resources for people that are in these sorts of relationships, whether it's somewhere that you can stay when you leave. And those places, like the women's shelters, you don't have to be staying there to take advantage of the resources. So you can still talk to the counselors and have access to all of the resources,
Mhm.
even if you're not staying there. And these are people that are really trained and equipped to deal with these situations. They'll help you create an exit strategy. They'll, just be a sounding board. You could just call and talk to them,
Yeah.
and you can do so anonymously if that feels safer for you. You don't have to share your information. So there is support out there. It's great if you have somebody in your inner circle that you can trust and rely on. But
Yeah.
even still, I would recommend talking to somebody that is well versed in helping people in these situations, because again, our friends aren't experts in this. They have heart in it. And while they do want what's
Right.
best for us, they might not know what's best for us.
Yeah. Yeah. Understood. Yeah. So, I want to touch base on the breaking cycle for moms. Um, what does that really mean?
Mm.
Is it the ones that are going through those situations, or is it any mom? She may be happily married, she may be all the wonderful things, but still in that cycle of chaos.
Yeah, I love that. It's definitely for any mom. You don't have to be in a toxic relationship or recently out of a toxic relationship. What the big thing is for me is helping women become consciously present. Now, if you are not consciously present, you probably are like, okay, what is that? Right.
Mhm.
So for I'll explain what it was like for me. I really did the cycle breaking after the toxic relationship, but there was a lot of damage created. during that relationship. So when I left, I didn't go seek therapy or healing or, work on myself. I thought that getting out was the thing that was going to change everything, right? And I was busy with my career, raising children, got into another relationship over time. We blended our families, and actually both of us had a lot of unresolved trauma, and we were incredibly dysregulated. We didn't know this though, because you don't know this when you are in survival mode, going through the motions. You are literally, it's one day at a time. And unfortunately, we live in a society where this is the case for most parents. They have to work. Both people have to work to be able to get by in many cases. So, they're not able to be at home and physically present all the time. And a lot of times they think, well, I take my kid out on the weekend and we go do a bunch of fun things. And so I am present. And there is a massive difference between being physically present and being consciously present. When you are physically present, but doom scrolling on your phone, unable to sit still, constantly cleaning, trying to rush through everything to just check it off a list, it is not the same as being in your body, able to sit across from your child face to face and fully hear and experience them. And this is one of those things that often women don't realize until they start to do the work and they become present, and they're like, holy, this is different, right? So it can be really, really hard for me to bring this sort of awareness to people. So you'll notice in a lot of my marketing, I'm talking about what it's like to be going through the motions, what it has been like for me. A lot of times we're numbing because we can't feel. If we stop and feel everything, it feels like it'll be too much. And, we tell ourselves we could spiral, and I don't have time for this. I just need to truck ahead and keep going. For me, it looked like marijuana in the evenings when I would get home from work, drinking on the weekends, feeling like I couldn't really have a good time and let loose unless I had a drink in my hand or I was getting high, popping a gummy or, something of that sort. And I would tell myself it could be worse because, other people are alcoholics and they can't go to work, or they're drinking way more than me. I would tell myself because I waited until the end of the day to use marijuana, that it wasn't that bad and I had it under control. But the reality of the situation, if you're using marijuana every day, it is a problem. And I recognize that many people believe that it's not addictive, but as somebody that stopped it cold turkey and experienced withdrawal symptoms from it, it is highly addictive. It's just not like, heroin where you could actually die from stopping it, but there are symptoms of stopping it. And, we have to always remember that we are the role models for our kids, and they will do what we do, not what we say. And that was the wake-up call for me. So I have 5 children, 3 of which are adults that I had very, very young, and then I have 2 little ones, still young kids. And my eldest, who is now 25, started to really struggle with his mental health around 15 years old and started smoking weed, started drinking with his friends and experimenting with drugs and alcohol. And I was not equipped to handle that. I was not a consciously present parent at that time. I was parenting the way that I was parenting, where it's like, I make the rules. And when you don't do what I say, there are going to be consequences. I'm going to take away your phone. You're not going to go out with your friends. So I started to smother him and try to be strict and firm. And that just pushed him away. He ended up running away from home and spiraling. And that was so traumatic, so terrifying. I mean, every day I was terrified for his life, and I was dysregulated and in survival mode. So I did not have the coping skills to be able to hold space for him and manage everything else that I had to do, my career, my other kids, and my mental health drastically declined. At the time my husband would come home from work, I had my youngest daughter. She was just a baby at the time. So what should have been one of the happiest times, I had my first baby girl that I wanted so bad. He would come home and I'd be laying on the floor just crying. Like, I need my son back. I need him to be okay. And that's when I started to really delve deep into healing and doing the work on myself so that I could then help my son, who is doing phenomenal now. He just recently started a business. He has a daughter, and yeah, he's doing really, really well. But it was a huge wake-up call, because while I wasn't doing hard drugs and constantly partying in front of him, kids aren't stupid. He would see me have drinks on the weekend, and that, I don't care what anybody says, if you're drinking in front of your kids, you're normalizing alcohol consumption. They're not monitoring how much. I mean, if you're falling over absolutely wasted, making a fool of yourself, of course they're going to be like, oh, right? But any amount of alcohol in them normalizes it. And that is why I gave everything up, because I was like, I'm not normalizing this any longer for any of my children.
Yeah.
And it's just been a long but very, very worth it journey.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's great to hear that he's being a work in progress, right? And things can get better. And that just helps people see that the transition can happen, right? It can, you
Yeah.
can work through this. So talking about that, whenever you go into the regulation play, how does that play a role in the process? Can you kind of talk about how the regulation goes into that?
Yeah, absolutely. And just one thing I do want to say first about if anybody ever goes through that with their child, where their child is struggling with mental health and addiction issues, and one thing that I experienced was tons of shame around it. I didn't want people to know, because, I knew that they were going to judge me, and I already blamed myself. So again, find support groups. There are so many parents going through this. Like, the number is actually terrifying. More parents will go through this than not. It's shocking.
Yeah.
So go look for Facebook groups. Look for, professional groups. There are groups out there, and we can't do anything about the past. All we can do is move forward and work on the future and cultivating a better future.
Yeah.
People kept telling me not to enable him, kick him out, cut him off. He's a drug addict, and addicts, you can't do anything for them. So essentially, just like, and I mean, I even did have some professionals telling me this, doctors and things like that, like, well, there's nothing you can do when somebody's addicted to drugs. You just can't enable them. Don't let him come in your house, because he's going to steal from you, which, don't get me wrong, there were times that he did. And I tried that for a little bit. I tried that tough love, and it just felt so wrong in my body. And that was when I was like, okay, this isn't, I'm parenting how I was parented, because I was kicked out at 16 years old and had to fend for myself, because I got kicked out because I refused to go to school. So, don't do tough love. Tough love is not love. And I know you might be convinced that it is, but it doesn't work. And that is the last thing somebody that's struggling needs. And I'm not saying enable them. If it's not safe for them to be in your home, that's totally understandable. But still love them. Still show them the love. My thing was always, if you're not willing to get the help that you need, you can't be here around me and your younger siblings. But my love for you is unconditional, and I will always be here the moment you're ready to get help.
Yeah.
And I would reach out constantly and, just tell him how much I love him and how much, I need him to be okay, which was ultimately the thing that got him to let me help him get help.
And the fact that, I mean, you've already been through that process, so you know that it can happen.
Mm-hmm.
You've already been through the whole thing, and you've brought yourself to where you are today. So you knew just because he was an addict didn't mean that he was going to go down that tunnel and stay there.
Right.
So that is definitely a hard thing to hear people say, right? Like, especially doctors. That had to be hard for the doctors to be like, give him the tough love and do this and do that, and you're like, wait a minute,
Right.
yeah, man,
Yeah, super frustrating.
yeah,
But the regulation was the key to me being able to do this. Because when you're in survival mode, you can't help anybody. You cannot be your best in survival mode. I don't care what anybody says. It's impossible.
yeah,
You can try, and which is what most parents are doing. And this is why you see parents snapping on their kids all the time, losing their shit. You forgot your lunch bag? Oh my God.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah. Mhm.
or you did that again. I'm taking your phone. You're not going out with your friends. And it's like, this is how we were parented. So it's understandable. And this isn't to shame anybody or to judge anyone, because trust me, I was that mom and I was parented that way. But when you are able to regulate your nervous system and increase your capacity to hold more stress, more chaos, more miracles and greatness too, that comes. But by doing so, you're not reactive anymore. So I am a very spiritual person. I teach people about spirituality, and I will always say the most spiritual thing you can do is the sacred pause. And this is the place between stimulus and response. When your kid does the thing, whether that's sneaking out, getting high, spilling juice on the kitchen floor, whatever the thing, different stages, different shit. Whatever the thing is, what happens right after? Most parents are reactive and losing their shit and then feeling guilty after, or convincing themselves that it's okay. This is what all parents do. All parents yell. All parents yell. I mean, sure, but doesn't mean that they should.
Yeah.
And I used to, like, you could hear me screaming outside if the window was open at my kids. I yelled too, and I will be the first to tell you that it's wrong and it causes real damage. So when you can take that sacred pause that you can't do when you're in survival mode, you might be able to sometimes, but you need to be able to come back to yourself, never react in the moment, just calm down, breathe, get back into your body. If you are feeling some sort of way about it, it is not time to have the conversation ever. And this is true when you're excited too. I have made a lot of decisions from that in business and in life based on like, oh, that sounds so wonderful. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's still reactivity, right? So we need to be able to take that sacred pause. And then on the other side of that, we are able to think clearly and make rational decisions. Oftentimes in that sacred pause, as we're calming down, as we're regulating, there are lots of great practices that I teach people. They have the breakthroughs there where it's like they know exactly what to do, what to say, because they've taken time, gotten clear, tapped into their intuition. And, I will say the divine, the universe, source, creator, God, whatever resonates with you. But it is being able to come back to yourself that allows you to tap into that. And then from that space is where you are able to consciously parent.
Yeah. And for anybody that doesn't know, that's where the breathing comes in, right?
Right.
That's you take in those nice deep breaths and you think about what's going on. You really pay attention to your body. And with that part of it, whenever you said the just take that moment from the excitement or from the negativity, whatever it may be, take that moment. And if it's taking a nice deep breath, counting to 50, whatever that might be for you, just to kind of let you settle. And that could be 5 minutes, but that could also be 2 days, right? It doesn't have to be
Totally.
that.
Yeah. And that's so the way that something is reactivity is because you feel like you have to do something about it right away. If
Yeah.
you ever feel like you can't wait to do something, it has to be done right away. I have to respond to this person right away. I have to do this. I have to do this right away. It's reactivity. Nothing needs to be done right now unless it is life or death. You know, you can always take the time to get back to people
Yeah.
or do whatever needs to be done later. If it isn't going to kill you or somebody else or seriously harm them,
Mhm.
do that. And, you know, you don't have to stonewall or gaslight. You can say, I just need time because this is really important to me and I want to come back to it with a level head.
Yeah.
And if people can't respect that boundary, that's a whole other issue in itself.
That's their issue, not yours.
Exactly. Exactly.
So if any woman comes to you and they feel like that they're in that position right there, what would you want her to hear right now?
You're amazing. You're absolutely amazing. It isn't a moral failing, and there is nothing wrong with you. This is the world that we live in. And, you know, the last thing that I want any woman to do is be hard on herself or unkind to herself because that's not productive. And it just makes it harder and longer and more tedious to heal and grow.
Yeah.
Baby, learn to be kind to yourself. If you take anything from this, if anybody is in any of these situations, in any struggle at all, learn to be kind to yourself. Correct yourself. When you catch yourself saying something unkind to yourself, telling yourself you're not good enough, you're not worthy, you're a shit mom, whatever it is, just stop, cancel. I deserve so much better than this. And then tell yourself some nice things about yourself. Go make a list of 10 things that are wonderful about you. And if you can't do that, that is your goal, to be able to create a list of 10 things that are wonderful about yourself. And you can ask other people, but really, like, this is a practice that I do with so many of my clients because so many women come into me and it's constant negative self chatter, ruminating. And it takes real work to transform that into kind, loving thoughts. And fuck, I know better than anybody. And I know you know this, Denise, too. It takes commitment and it takes work, but you can get to a place where you love yourself. You think highly of yourself. You're confident. If you would have saw me 10 years ago, people that know me who like hear me speak, they're you're not the same person. You're so confident.
Yeah.
Well, one, confidence comes from experience, but also when you get to the place of loving yourself, other people's opinions don't matter. You're going to do what you want to do and you're going to show up for yourself. So always start being kind to yourself and you can always be kinder.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what, Kim, with that, look at me. 3 years ago, you know the hot mess I was. I mean, even though I was positive and things like that, I didn't really talk negatively about myself. But when you think about whenever I first started talking to you, I mean,
Yeah.
I was in a bad place. And I don't like that word. I don't like bad place. I think no place is bad because you can try to make a positive out of that. But um, I agree. You just need to talk better to yourselves. And there's so many women out there that in the world we live in today, like you said, there's so much negativity and people make it easy to do. They make it
Mm-hmm.
easy to be negative rather than to be positive with yourself, with others, all of those things. And it's just the society that we live in today make it okay. And it's just,
Yeah, we need to be kinder, this whole entire world. And that is actually something that I work on with people too, is to be able to see life through the lens of love rather than fear. Because all of those people that are saying unkind things, complaining in these toxic cycles of hating themselves and hating other people, it's because they're afraid. It's because they are viewing things through the lens of fear. And you might say, I'm not afraid, I'm angry. Okay, what are you angry about? When we dig and dig and dig, it always 100% of the time comes back to fear. And this is the children's book that I wrote because I teach this to my children.
Mhm.
Like, I have taught my children, you have a love lantern and you have a fear lantern. Any negative emotions you have always stem from fear. Anything you receive from somebody else that is unkind or negative is coming from their fear lantern. We don't meet fear with fear. We meet it with love. And it's not an easy thing to do. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying don't have loving, kind boundaries. I'm all for like boundary up. But at the same time, we can't fight hate with hate. And the only thing to do is to shower so much love and to again lead by example. So, what does that look like if somebody tells me to go fuck myself? Okay, great. I can walk away from the situation. I'm not going to be like, thank you so much and I love you. Right? But I am going to walk away. I'm not going to engage in that. And
Yeah.
I'm going to go home and I, honest to God, am going to send this person love and light and blessings because I know that the reason this person is acting this way is because they're afraid and they're hurting. Doesn't make it okay. But why do I need to stoop to that level?
Right. Yeah.
So, we all need to shine our love lanterns, which is my book is called The Two Lanterns. And it is, I created this story for my own children, and it has really been so transformational in our home to have them use this reference. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to publish this story.
Totally.
And I added some questions to really help it land and stuff like that families can use.
Mhm.
And the feedback is out of this world. So tell
That's
your
amazing.
kids to shine their love lanterns and not their fear lanterns.
Oh, that's awesome. So I have just a couple more quick questions for you. Well, of course, if you see behind me my sign grit, it means grace, resilience, intentional trust, and thrive. But if
Mm,
you, what would that mean to you personally?
grit.
Yes.
I don't think that could really be said any better. I love how you like made it a whole acronym.
Did.
That's beautiful. I love it. I want to put that up in my room.
You can have it. I'll let you take it.
So good. Yeah, that's it. It's like shit happens. Life happens. Life is never ever going to stop lifing, okay? And I can give you a perfect I love my life. I'm fucking obsessed with my life, okay? And I am happy most days. I have my days. We don't avoid those feelings. We lean into them and surrender to them, and then it gets better. A lot of our suffering comes from trying to avoid the icky, dark feelings when it's like all we really need to do is lean into them. It's like I still have really horrible, awful things that happen in my life. I'm estranged from one of my kids because he was alienated by my ex-husband, right? So I have one of my adult sons that I haven't spent time with in 2 years. Okay. That's really hard. And in the past, that would have caused me to be in a deep, deep depression and to spiral and to hate myself and, you know, maybe contemplate if I even wanted to be here anymore. But now it's like, yeah, this sucks. And I also have so many fucking amazing things in my life. So I can take a moment to grieve this. And, I use the same approach with him. It's like, I'm here ready and willing when you're ready to work on things. And I have faith and I send him blessings every day and love. And I can have, sometimes I'll have a day where I sit in bed and cry about it and I'm not doing anything today. I'm feeling sorry for myself today and I'm not getting out of bed. But this isn't going to last, baby. I'm going to get up tomorrow and I'm going to start seeing the world through my lens of love again. And I'm going to tap into certainty that everything is working out exactly as it should for me and what is best for me and my children. My son is going through what he's going through for a reason, and he's going to come out the other side of it. And when he's ready, who is better equipped to help him than me? Because I have done all the fucking work and I help people day in and day out. So it's like, that is grit. It's like, we're not going to let shit destroy us, Life is gonna keep lifing, and we need to focus on the one thing that we can control, and that is how we show up and handle anything. And when we are able to do that from a calm, regulated, conscious place, looking through the lens of love rather than fear, it makes the world a fucking better place.
Absolutely. See, that was great. You did great with that. that took it over. I mean, I don't even know.
I love the acronym.
The words was good, but that was good. That was a great explanation of grit for you. I just, yeah, it's just so, there's so many things in this world that people question, right? And they just don't know which way to go. And that was the reason that I came up with the acronym that I came up with, is because number one, we have to give ourselves grace, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have to be resilient in some way to get from one point to the other. We need to be intentional with that. And we need to be able to trust ourselves that we can thrive through it. So, a
Amen.
better way to do that. But your explanation was perfect. I loved it. So before we wrap up today, I want to ask you if there was someone, female, male, child, that might be listening to this today that might need that one piece of encouragement just to keep moving forward, what
Mm-hmm.
would you want them to hear right now?
I would want them to hear that your struggles aren't a moral failing, and you are worthy simply because you exist. You don't have to earn, you shouldn't have to earn love and respect. And I don't care what sort of mistakes you've made, because believe me, I have a long, dirty laundry list. And we don't have to be defined by our pasts, by what happened to us. I could tell you horrific things that I have been through throughout my life. And for a little while, I did allow that to define me. But then I realized one day that we're all human
Hmm.
and we are all worthy and capable of whatever it is our little heart's desire. If there is something inside of you that you want, if you fantasize about doing something or having something, I believe that's because it is meant for you. I believe that you don't receive any ideas that are too big for you. So, one day at a time, just do the one thing you know how to do to move yourself forward, and the next thing will present itself.
Nice words. Um, so where, now that you've talked about the book, number one, where can they find the book? And then where can they find you on any of your social medias, your handle, and all the things?
Perfect. Thank you for asking. So, the Two Lanterns book by me, Kim Staples, is currently only available on Amazon. I self-published it on there, so that's the only place it is right now. I'm in the process of getting it into my public libraries. So if you're local to me, pretty soon you could go into the library and borrow it.
Yay!
But in the meantime, it's on Amazon. The link is in my Instagram bio, so you could find me on Instagram at Kimberly_Staples. You can find me on Facebook, Kim Staples. I think I go it's either Kim Staples or Kimberly Staples. If you're connected to Denise, go into her followers or her friends and find me there. And
Yes.
my website is that sacredlyunhingedmom.com. That's me, the sacredly unhinged mom. So you can find me there too.
That's perfect. I mean, this was an amazing discussion today. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. Is there anything else
Anytime.
you'd like to say before we close?
Thank you, you incredible goddess. It was so good to spend this time with you. I miss you. And if I have to book another interview in the future to spend time with you, I might do that.
You can book
You
an
should come
interview
on.
anytime.
Yeah, come on our podcast. Actually, that's another thing I would love to mention too, is that I also have a podcast with my amazing, phenomenal co-host Ianthe Moro. Our podcast is Unapologetic Uplift. We're on all the places. So yeah, you come on our podcast. We can hang out again.
Absolutely. Yeah. Iante asked me because I interviewed her a while back and she asked me the same thing. She was like, well, we haven't done it yet. I was like, I know, I'm so sorry. But yeah, definitely. I would love to come on and be able to chat with you guys. And if y'all do not watch this, if y'all are not listening to the podcast that they have, oh my gosh, they're amazing. They're two amazing people. And Kim is part of that, and Iante makes it even more extraordinary. You are two amazing people, and I absolutely love being in y'all's circle all the time.
Likewise. Same for you. Same for you. So grateful for you.
Well, guys, we're going to wrap up for today. So remember, this is your journey, but you never have to do it alone. Again, thanks everybody for listening, and we'll see you next time. See ya.
Bye.
Thank you for being here today. If this episode encouraged you, please share it, leave a review, and turn on those notifications so we can continue to grow together. Remember, strength isn't about being untouched. It's about choosing who you become in the process. And wherever you are in your journey, you are not in this alone. This is the grit of the matter. So keep moving forward.